All right. A very wonderful day to everyone today. It's still relatively morning time for me. So I just got up a little while ago. Today we will talk about colors, and color energy and energy just in general. This introduction is about the NeuroColor course that I'm going to teach next. And maybe today I actually remember to introduce myself to anyone who does not know me yet. My name is Antje Howard. I am a Neurographica instructor. I have a background in education, which some people might not know. I actually used to teach future art teachers at the university before I realized that that was not a life for me, and I packed my things and went traveling and ended up in California, where I live now. I'm actually from Germany. I was born and grew up in Berlin, lived in Hamburg for many years, studied there and moved around a little bit. But eventually I found out that I need to get out of the city because I've always lived in the city, and now I live literally on a mountaintop. In the middle of nowhere, which is beautiful. And when I look outside my window, there's trees and mountains. So that's just about me in a nutshell. And I'm very passionate about art, about Neurographica specifically. I discovered this method in 2019, and it's a pretty new method. It was created in 2014 by a Russian psychologist, now psychology professor, named Pavel Piskarev. And it is a method that, for me personally, goes beyond art, actually. It goes into using art as a tool for self-reflection, for self-development. We can use it for self-coaching. It is a tool that allows us to look inside. And today, we're going to look inside from the perspective of color, which I think is a very interesting way. Usually, we in Neurographica work a lot with different figures, abstract figures, circles, squares, triangles, lines, and we create connection. So that those are the main characteristics of Neurographica, of like just the visual that we work with. But of course, we always use color as well. We use color in very interesting ways. And usually I use color completely intuitively, and I just pick the pen that calls my name and start coloring. Today, though, we're going to think about color a little bit, or I would probably call it feel into it. Because colors have vibrations. Of course, everybody probably knows that and kind of feels that. I can say for myself that there's colors that I feel more drawn to, and colors that I feel a little bit distant, they're a little bit difficult for me. There's also colors that I dislike. Probably everyone has a favorite color. Today, we will actually work with two energies. The system that Pavel Piskarev chose for his specific work with colors is an ancient system that is not actually focused on color. Color is a part of it, but it's not actually a color system. It's the Chinese philosophy of the 5 elements, or the 5 phases. That's also called WuXing. I'm probably saying that in a totally terrible, wrong way, so I apologize for that. I'm not Chinese, I don't speak Chinese, but I've been studying this system for actually quite a while. I think about like around 6 years, I'm going to say, through the practice of Qigong. I started practicing Qigong intensively, about like 6 years ago. And I also did a teacher training to become a Qigong teacher. So I am licensed to teach some of it. And I am absolutely a student. So I'm going to say that first. I'm not an expert. I'm very interested in the things that we're talking about today and throughout the next month. And I really, really like to explore it, but I'm not a 5-element expert. But I also have a lot of material that we can work with. And Pavel, as I said, he based his ideas of how we can work with color on this 5 elements theory. The way it works now is that the 5 elements are basically the building blocks of our world. Everything in this perspective that we see, that we experience in the world is comprised of these 5 elements, which are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And some of them might be more easy for a Western mind to grasp. Like for me, for example, fire and water, very clear. Okay, I can totally relate to that. Metal, I don't know. And wood. So in the course, we're going to go deep into each one. Today, we're actually going to start with the 2 that are the easiest, I feel, to kind of start with, which is fire and water. And I chose those for several different reasons. First of all, because they are the most extreme. And when we start exploring a new system, new ideas, sometimes it's actually very helpful to start with, like the most extreme. That's the only word I can find for it right now. Also, yin and yang, the energies, or like the idea of how balance is created in the world, in life, in our bodies, in our minds, in everything, they are related to that. In China, actually, fire and water are sometimes used exchangeably with yin and yang. Water is the most yin element of the 5 elements. Water is the embodiment of yin, and fire is the most yang element. So it's the embodiment of yang. So we're going to work with those 2 in a way to understand and look at this very general overarching, the yin and yang even goes beyond the 5 elements. It's like really in everything, and even the 5 elements have yin and yang. So there's a yin water and a yang water, there's a yin fire and a yang fire. We're going to go deeper into that in the actual course, where we actually look at the nuances in it. But today we just look at it in a general sense, and also to get a general sense of what this work is about. To me, Neurographica in general has to do with creating balance, creating harmony. That's in a way always our goal. We want to harmonize ourselves, our view, the world around us. And with these energies of colors, of yin and yang, we can look more deeply into that. Okay, now I talked a whole lot. So that was my introduction. Now we will first go into a little meditation. Everyone who knows me and who's been working with me knows that I really, really like to activate the body first. And today, we're going to do that with the breath. I'm actually going to maybe mention that now, that in addition to the NeuroColor course, I will offer a Qigong practice. So before every course, for everyone who wants to do that, we can go into an actual embodiment practice, because I feel that it can be very, very helpful to learn about these elements and these processes, these phases, cycles, just like how everything is interconnected, not just on a mental level or an emotional level with the colors, but also on a very physical level. So this is why I invite you to even join me in that. But I'm going to talk about that a little bit later after our drawing. So for now, I just invite you to make yourself comfortable. If you're seated, I recommend placing the feet on the ground and really feeling the ground under you. And we're gonna sit comfortably. You don't have to sit without moving. So if your body ever feels like it wants to wiggle a little bit, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to sit straight, and this is not a Zen class. And then I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, and take a few deep breaths. And with these first breaths, I invite you to just release anything that needs to be released. You can use the exhale, you can even use sound to just let go of anything that needs to be let go of. And I invite you to just observe the breath flowing in and out of your body. If you can try to deepen your breath, going deeper down into your belly, really breathing into the belly, into the lower belly, relaxing your chest. In and out. And really just observing what it feels like to fill and empty your body, letting the breath naturally move in and out, allowing your body to release tension, relaxing your face, allowing your jaw to drop a little bit, relaxing your neck and the back of your head, your throat, your shoulders, allowing them to drop down, feeling the weight of your arms all the way down to your hands, relaxing your hands, and then feeling this warm, comfortable, relaxing feeling moving all the way down your spine, and feeling the backside of your body. Taking a deep breath and relaxing your chest, your abdominal area, your belly, all the way down into your pelvis, into your legs, your knees, your ankles and feet, and feeling your contact with the earth, with the ground, feeling your seat bones on the chair, then bringing your attention, your awareness back to your breathing. And with the breath, we can experience these energies of yin and yang in our bodies, filling the body up, emptying the body out. Feel how you relax your tummy when you breathe in, and how your muscles slightly tighten up as you breathe out. And just observe how those two phases are part of one, just like everything is part of one. And now I invite you to imagine in your mind's eye fire and water. You can imagine them around you, or maybe they are inside of you. Just looking, where does the flame ignite? Where does the wave start? Just bringing these two elements, these concepts into your mind's eye. And I invite you to observe where they are. Are they in front of you, behind you, above you, below you? Or if they are inside you, where are they? Maybe in your belly, in your heart, in your head, in your legs or feet, arms or hands. And see, what is the relationship between those two? Is only one element present, or are they both present? Is one bigger than the other one? More specific, more easy to see or feel? What is your affinity? Which one feels more comfortable to you? Which one is more present? And just being with them for a moment without trying to change anything. There's no right or wrong in this. Breathing. And then I invite you to take a deep breath and feel your body slowly letting go of this imagery, of these feelings, of this connection to these two elements. I invite you to slowly start moving your body. And if it feels good, you can start shaking your body just a little bit on your chair, moving up and down, releasing your head, your shoulders, your arms. Just bringing some vibration into your body, releasing anything that wants to be released. Again, using your voice. And then I invite you to bring your hands together, rubbing them, bringing the flow and the heat, and both water and fire, into your hands, bringing them together in a harmonious connection. And then when your hands are nice and warm and feel full of energy, you can place them over your eyes for a moment. Just feeling the energy, creating a connection between your hands and your eyes, an inner connection. And then I invite you to start rubbing your face, waking yourself back up. Maybe going with your hands over your head, your neck, maybe giving yourself a little massage there, or allowing your hands to go wherever they want to go, whatever part of your body feels like it needs some attention. And then slowly opening your eyes. So before we go into the drawing today, I would actually like to invite you to set a theme, to think about a part of your life where you feel that you might need a certain energy or more balance. So we can use the energies of color to activate certain things in ourselves, or we can use them to create more balance, equilibrium, harmony. So I invite you to just think about it for a moment. And what we're going to do is actually do our little writing exercise. Everyone who has worked with me before knows that every now and then I do writing. We're going to do that as well. So once you have your theme, your topic, your the part of your life that you would like to work with in your mind, I'm going to set an alarm for 2 minutes, and we're going to write whatever comes up. So it doesn't have to be from the mind. I really like to go with like this kind of stream of consciousness, just pouring out keywords and allowing whatever wants to come. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to start my timer right now for 2 minutes and go. Okay. So that was 2 minutes. And we don't really have to concentrate too much on that. I invite you, though, to look through your words and kind of see if any of those for you have an energy of fire or water. Many of the words that I wrote actually have different energies, but some of them do have fire or water. And just like from your intuition, just like from what you feel fire or water to be like, without any like knowledge about it. Just for a moment, looking, I have, for example, passion and ignite, play. Those are all like, for me, fiery, kind of action oriented, like energies. But then I also have like this calm and this wisdom and this more settling energy. And as I said, in my words, I absolutely recognize words that will be the other elements. Oh, as I said, we're going to come to that starting next week. Okay, so now I'm actually going to switch my camera so that we can go into a drawing. Okay. So I have a red and a blue pen, but I'm going to start with some black as just an overall. Yeah, that's just my overall color. We're always drawing lines and figures in Neurographica most of the time. And today I would like to start with 2 circles, one of which for you signifies fire, one of which signifies water. They can be anywhere on the paper. They can also overlap. They can have different sizes. So just as a kind of diagnostic first beginning, we're going to go with just starting 2 circles. And really allowing yourself to feel these circles. I always like to go around them several times. So this one is my water. I'm going to actually call it water. And then I have my fire, and my fire is here, but it is smaller. So in this first step, you can already look if there might be an imbalance. Or I kind of see balance as this play between the things. So even if we have 2 circles that are exactly the same size, that doesn't mean that we're forever in balance, because balance for me moves. So when we think of fire and water, we can now, I'm going to go a little bit into what I believe, or like what is my first kind of things that I want to share about them that we can look at. So very easy to see, fire is hot, warm, water is cool or cold. Water is very active. Water moves in all directions, it's dynamic. Water is yielding. Water adapts to any shape, adapts to any space, but it also changes things. Same like fire, they both have like this energy of changing the world around them, just in very different ways. Now, when we think of water and fire in terms of inner activities, or kind of what is the fire inside us, we can think of fire as like love, passion, joy, dedication, enthusiasm, excitement. All of these are fire qualities. And we can think of water in a more like wisdom, depth, also faith and nurturing. Fire is a very nurturing element, but also serenity, calmness. Those are all water qualities. So now we can think about, considering our theme, which ones of those do we need right now? And here, I will actually extend my fire. So the very first thing I do is I change what I want to change. I want more fire for my theme. I feel that I'm a very watery person, so I just feel that I need more fire. So I'm going to make this circle bigger. And so I invite you to just feel into your theme and see what needs to happen for you. And just creating that for yourself and feeling, okay, what does it feel like now? If my fire is this big, I made it a little bit bigger than my water now, because I feel like my theme needs more fire. It's like, I need a lot of passion. I need to ignite. So I create that for myself, and then I reflect on it and I feel, okay, what does that feel like now? Now we can start working a little bit with color, and we're going to really work a little bit different than we usually do in neurographic drawings. I'm going to start with my colored pencils, actually. And I have a few blue ones and a few red ones. So the color of fire in the Chinese system that we're working with is red, and the color of water is blue. So I'm going to start with the red because I want to first feel into this fire, feel into this like bigger space that I created. So I'm going to start coloring the circle. I don't have to color it like flat. I can actually color it with lines. And for me, fire is an uplifting energy, so it goes up. So I'm just going to draw lines up, and I'm using neurographic lines. Anybody who knows neurographic lines, you can use that too. And I'm just mimicking what for me feels like fire. So when it's kind of flickering, it goes in all directions. It's very fast. Fire usually it's kind of very active. So I just bring that into this circle. And of course, immediately out of it as well. The fire cannot be trapped, basically. It's very hard to trap it. So I use the color, but I use it in a very dynamic way. Just moving my pen. And fire literally can go in all directions. So I'm going mostly up because it's a very upward moving energy, but it can also go in all directions. So, and there's a point where it meets my water circle, which I can feel into that as well. First, working with the color and exploring this energy, explore this energy for you. What does it feel like to really have this power of the fire? And I hope it's okay for everyone that we're starting with fire. We're going to come to the water in just a moment. Okay, maybe we switch to water just in case that anybody wants to have more water so that you don't have to be stuck with the fire now. Now we do the same with water. And water for me, it can be much more flowing. I feel water slower as well. No, it has more of this almost like beautiful quality. We can really play with the lines here. And for anybody who has never drawn neurographic lines, just imagine a river. It's a line that doesn't have a pattern. So we're not doing pattern. We're doing like a river meandering through space. And it's kind of nice to go between those two. So whenever you feel that you want more passion, want more movement, just go back to the fire and explore a little bit more, draw a little bit more there. And if you feel that you just want to calm down for a moment, water is a downward moving energy. It's really, if we have water somewhere and we pour it, it will always go down to the ground. It will always find its way downward. Whereas fire will always expand. Fire is very expansive. And water will always, no matter what, unless we're in space, of course, move downwards. So here you can feel into this energy of slowing down, taking a moment. And this, I feel, is something that is very important no matter what. Like no matter what kind of project or theme we're working with, we will always need both of them. So this is why I wanted to invite you to really explore them together in this drawing. And just slowly, slowly, you can use different shades of blue, of course. I'm going to use a different blue. And once you have a few rivers, a few lines, you can also just follow them over and over again. Just exploring this movement with a different color, with a different blue or the same blue. And kind of slowly filling the space up with the color through the movement that it makes. there might be kind of some lines that are especially interesting. Call your attention, some movements that you would like to follow over and over again, creating thicker waterways. And for anyone who feels like going back to the fire, you can absolutely go back to the fire. I just feel like I want to spend a little bit more time with the water. And as I said, water always downward. Fire can go in all directions, and especially upward. So we also explore the energy of movement in different directions. And now I can start coloring in a little bit more. Just in the spaces in between the lines that I have here, between the waterways. And the same with the fire. You can start coloring in a little bit. There's here some areas. I'm just gonna color them. In the end, we want to create a space of color. And you can leave areas white as well. We're not gonna need to color everything. But yeah, now slowly I go into coloring a little bit more. Just going where my hand guides me. Now I'm pretty calm again, so I think I might go back to my fire and practice, work with that a little bit more. And here as well, I can color in some of the areas. And here all my strokes go up, because I really like to explore this different directions. And then this very interesting point where my fire and water meet. Maybe yours have more areas where they overlap. And those can be very interesting areas too, where the colors can match. And as I said, we don't have to color everything, so not all my lines go all the way out. So the fire can just go out. But yeah, just exploring and feeling it inside of you. Really focusing on your inner sensations. What does it feel like to play with these? I feel my heart pounding when I do this. Makes sense because fire is the element of heart in this Chinese system. But yeah, I really feel it. You can just explore where do you feel it in your body when you think about these energies? Do you feel them somewhere inside of you? And slowly I really can see these flames here. Just kind of creating flames just by itself. Ooh. My pen wants to be extra strong for a moment. And you can use as many different shades as feels good for you. Just always coming back to the movement. And as I said, not everything has to be colored. It can be very interesting to have little areas in between that define the form a little bit more. feel like I want it even a little bit like orange in it. So if you feel that you would like to add a different color, you are free and welcome to do that. If you feel drawn to another color, just for a little bit, and just feel like I wanted a little bit of orange in there. So I just allow that, following the intuition. This work, Neurographica, just in general, especially also working with colors, to me still is really something where we can always listen to our intuition, because inside of you, you probably really know what you need. And when we just learn to trust that, it can make life easier. So I'm slowly getting these areas colored wherever I wanted to go with my element. And still staying with the direction, water down, fire up. May have to go back to my water. I'm really just feeling how these influence you. I can feel like once I go back to my water, I know that I'm going to be so much calmer and more relaxed, because that is just what the water energy does to me. As I said, I feel much more comfortable with water personally, but I also realize that it's very good sometimes to explore the other energies, and I need the fire right now. Absolutely need it, because without it, I won't be able to ignite your passion into these topics. Ooh. And it's funny because my strokes are still kind of fiery, and I have to calm down a little bit more to make it slower. I know that water's not always slow, but just in general is more adaptive to the environment. When it runs fast, it actually runs down a hill most of the time. So water itself will always just go with the flow. And this is what, in a way, this whole algorithm can teach us, is to go with the movements, with the energies of life, instead of against them. Instead of struggling against the stream, we're just going with the water, with the stream. Mm-hmm. Maybe I do need a third one as well. Maybe I want a little bit of purple in there, because purple is such a good color for me. So again, if you feel like you want a different color in there, you can add green or purple or whatever you feel. It's not, we don't want to limit ourselves. This exercise is really about exploring these specific energies. But if you feel drawn to something else, absolutely trust your feeling. Should be my mantra. Always trust your feeling. And I invite you to breathe again. remembering to breathe. And I feel calmer now. Again, this works every time for me. I'm going to go back to my fire, finishing my fire here as well. And now after the water, it really feels easier to, interestingly, now I'm really excited to get back to my fire. Coloring this in, taking time with it. You can also shade, of course, really playing with the shapes that you see in the fire, in the water. Just like when we look into the flames of a campfire, for example, we see these shapes. Now you can really bring them out. You can ask yourself if this might have a message for you. And I invite you to bring your consciousness, your mind back to your theme as well, to the point where you started. What does it feel like now? Where do you feel you are with it? What kind of energies does this theme need? Probably it needs more than fire and water, but just considering these two right now, do you feel like it would benefit from more? Actually, my theme is my next classes. I don't know if I mentioned that. My next classes, they, in my perspective, need a lot of fire because it's something that I haven't done. And then, like, just for me to keep up with it, I feel that I need fire in there, but I, of course, also need water. And water, interestingly, actually has this quality of courage as well. So I feel like I do need the courage and the calmness, calming down every now and then and staying calm if something doesn't work right, maybe getting prepared. But most of all, I want a lot of energy in that. So I'm bringing that into my consciousness. Okay, and now I have a picture that has some color in it. And now I would like to draw a little bit lines. And we kind of already have like shapes for the lines, but I'm going to take my black pen again and now follow some of them, some of these movements that I created with my lines. And they are neurographic lines, which means that I can orient myself on the things that are already there, on these flows that I already see, but I don't have to follow them perfectly. This is not about making the perfect outline of my fire or my water, but now I just feel into this movement again, one more time, with my pen. So the lines are just as I explained. Imagine a river just meandering, moving through the landscape. The only rules about these lines is that they do not repeat themselves. They don't have a pattern. They can go wherever they want to go. So in a way, it is all about letting go of control a little bit. And so first, I only go inside the structures that I already have, or inside the movements that I already explored. One thing that I want to show to anyone who is new with Neurographica real quick is the rounding. So everyone who's experienced with Neurographica, you can round wherever you feel it. It doesn't have to be everywhere. So I'm going to say that I have my water flowing down here, and every now and then my lines cross. So whenever I have a crossing, what I do is I round out the corners to create connection points instead of crosses. So wherever I have two lines crossing like this, I go and kind of move around this crossing, and then I color it in at the end. The way I like to do it as well is if I have a little shape like this, for example, I just go around the entire shape, making this a round shape, and then I color in the corners. So we want it to be connected and in flow. And I like to go over all the lines twice. We can do that as well. And we do that throughout the drawing. As I said, it does not have to be everywhere. Just as much as you feel. And we want to create connection. And I think I'm actually going to take this little bit thicker pen and go over my lines again with a thicker pen so I can see it better. Because this one that I used was kind of thin. And then I find a few areas where I do round. I'm also going to go around my circle again. So now we change the shapes here. We have our circle, we have our lines, and we have moments, spots where they meet. So now we look at the shapes. We can still, of course, feel the movements. Now we also feel like, okay, what is actually created through those energies? The water and the fire. We kind of look at the shapes that are created, the spaces that are created. Look at how it interacts with the world, with those two circles that I created before. And I really love the rounding, so I'm going to probably do that almost everywhere. But as I said, it's not a must. But I invite you to round a little bit. Like in some places, especially where the lines cross the circle, because this is where two different elements meet, so to say, where the line meets the circle. And then when I just started with the water, now I'm going to go to the fire circle and draw some lines there and just bring out some of the shapes. And go around my the shapes that I find most interesting, and most intriguing. Following where I moved with the color, but also allowing it to be a little bit free. So if my line wants to go somewhere else, I'm going to allow it to go there as well. And I can see that my fire lines are a lot straighter than my water lines. And I like to draw them all the way out, all the way to the edge of the paper. And now what I realized, really funny, is that I did make my circle bigger, but then I didn't actually use the entire circle. I started in the middle, so half or like a little part of my fire circle is not actually filled with color at all. It's interesting for me to ponder upon. Whenever you see something in your drawing that's interesting, or also when you see something in your drawing where you've ask yourself if it's wrong, for example. Those are the places to look at. Those are the places that may have an insight, a message for you. Usually there's never anything wrong. It's just our mind kind of creating these ideas. But if there's a spot somewhere that you don't like, for example, then really look at that and ask yourself, okay, so what can that stand for that I may not like about the theme that I'm drawing? Because subconsciously, even if we don't think about the theme that we set in the beginning all the time throughout the drawing, still our subconscious knows that we're working with this certain theme. And those places where we feel tension, they can really be the places to learn. And this is one of the things that Neurographica can really help with, seeing our own blind spot in a way. Just like I just realized that for some reason, even though my mind wanted more fire, wanted a bigger space, I could not allow myself to extend it all the way. I'm still holding myself back. This is what it can tell me, for example. And then I can ask myself more questions about it. So I will also go back in there. I feel like I need a few more lines for my fire here. And just really taking your time with it, exploring this colorful landscape that you created with lines. Using these layers to really look at it with new eyes. Look at the shapes that you see now. Look at the visions that you can see in the fire, in the water. And every now and then, just coming back to yourself, checking in with yourself, with your body, with your emotions, with your thoughts. Okay. Now, we also want to draw some lines through the entire picture. So all my lines now start either in the fire or in the water circle. Now I'm going to extend them all the way out. And I think with the fire, I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. With the water, I'm going to go from the top to the bottom. I'm just drawing some lines that connect my fire element to the earth, I could say, for example. And that connects my water element to the sky. So I am now making sure that everything's interconnected, which is something that is incredibly important in Neurographica. And I really go all the way from the bottom to the top and then all the way from the top to the bottom. Of course, there will be new connections. You can follow lines that are already present in your element, but you can also create new lines. Just connecting more now. And we can also think about, how does that show up in the world? How do I show up in my water element in the world? How do I show up in my fire element in the world? And just very intuitively, what does that mean to you? Again, there's no right or wrong. When I drew a few, I'm going to go through and round a little bit to make sure that they are connected now to everything, and my lines cross. So I have some new shapes to explore. Every time I create a crossing, there's going to be a little bit of a change in the shapes. Here, where I draw the water line down, I have some interesting new shapes to explore. And really, we just do a few of them. I just did like 4. Doesn't have to be too much. Or from the bottom down, or from the bottom up, from the top down. I would say no more than 6 in each direction. We don't want to overdo it. Just bringing a connection there. And really bringing your attention to how do these elements show up in your life. In social situations, for example, you can think about that, depending on your theme, or where it makes sense for your theme. So for me, of course, I could think about my teaching and how it feels when I am ignited, when I'm full fire for something, but also I feel that it's very important and it's very much a part of my teaching to have this calmness, this receptiveness of the water, that it can adapt. Mhm. And now that we're already talking about it, I invite you to name some things. I'm going to create little circles somewhere in my drawing, like here, for example. Wherever I feel that there might be space for a circle, I can create little circles. And then I can think about, okay, which element shows up there and how does it show up? And here, as I said, it's like the fire and it's my passion that shows up. And this, of course, can be connected to your theme again. So how do the elements really show up? When we're filling up the space a little bit more. And you can also use the empty spaces where you don't have stuff already. Then just making sure that there's at least some lines that connect it to the element. So I can, for example, say here, there is a circle where I feel my fire comes out as, what can I call it? Maybe like curiosity, or yeah, curiosity. There again, just trusting your intuition. There's no right or wrong. Just asking yourself, how do they show up in my life? I'm going to put one for my enthusiasm, because no matter what, I can be very enthusiastic and I can actually bring that to my students, for example. It's really nice to actually name them, because that helps us take this serious in a way. It helps our brain to really connect to it and say, ah, okay, now I understand. Helps it really to understand. And then this drawing is more than a game and can actually help us. And you can also ask yourself, what are the things that you would like to embody more? I would like to have more power. I feel sometimes I'm not so powerful. And I think that would also help me here. So I'm going to put that here. And interestingly, the circle actually touches the water, which I can now reflect on. And I kind of feel, okay, that the power needs to come from somewhere. If I don't have my battery full, so to say, because the water element that's connected to the kidneys is actually our life battery. So if my battery is not full, then there's no place where my power can come from. So here is an interesting connection between the two. So of course, there can also be circles where these two are connected. And I may add another one for water. I definitely have this depth in the things that I do. And I feel that is a very good quality, something that I really like. I like to bring out. And then some kind of calmness as well. Staying calm is always a good one. But yeah, as I said, I'm kind of concentrating on the fire today because this is something that I would like to develop more. And I already have a very important insight, which is that if I want more power, I also need to calm down more. I need to rest more, need to fill up my batteries. So I hope you might have some insights as well. Well, there's someone asking, yeah, there will be a recording. And you can add as many circles as feels right for you, as you feel you need, as you feel you want to ponder upon. I want to add one more for my fire now, which is dedication, because I feel that I want to be very dedicated to this. And I actually make it a quite big one, very big one, apparently. So yeah, dedication is something that I admire in others as well. So we can also see, okay, what are the things that we might admire in others that we want to bring in? And I admire that in people that have a lot of fire, that feel kind of very fiery. They're always like very dedicated. Maybe that's just my personal observation, kind of how I see other people, but this is something that I would like to cultivate more as well. Just asking yourself, like, what are the characteristics or the kind of yeah, the qualities that you would like to bring out in yourself. And of course, always reflecting back to the theme. We can, of course, also look at just our life in general, but I really find it helpful to have a certain theme to work with. Okay. And now I invite you to go back to the color one more time and just play with these new elements that we have brought in. So the circles that we brought in, you can just bring a little bit color in those if they're not already in the spaces, or you can just define them more. So I'm just going to go and define my circles more. You don't have to color them in completely. So it's not about like filling everything with color, but just making it a little bit more defined. I feel like my power circle actually needs to be half blue and half red now. So I'm gonna work with both of these colors. That is one of the wonderful things about colored pencils. You can really combine well. And then I do want to connect to the rest of my fire circle here. So I'm actually going to color there a little bit as well. Where's my blue? So I want to also make this blue to remind myself that my power lies in both of them, which is really interesting thought for me that I didn't think of before in this way. So just go wherever your attention draws you. As I said, not everything has to be colored out. Some of the circles, they can just stay as they are. But some might want some color. And as I said, you can also use other colors. If there is a circle that calls for something different, then please listen to it. And then you can reflect about it and ask yourself what that might mean. And then, of course, you can learn about it. If you use green, for example, green is the wood color. So if you feel drawn to green, or yellow is the earth color, and the metal color is actually white. So I always like to leave some white spaces as they help to structure. So let's give it another, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes for this coloring a little bit more. And just allow yourself to go wherever you feel drawn. So you can go all over the picture now with your color. So I think I want to have a little bit more blue, and it's actually, so I'm making a little bit more space for my blue. Now that I realize that I can't have the red without the blue, I'm gonna create a little bit more space for it here. Until you feel balanced with it. So it's also about kind of exploring how much of what it needs. How much water do I need to balance all this fire that I created now? So in the course, of course, we will look a little bit deeper at the actual qualities as the Chinese see them. In this drawing, I kind of feel that in the beginning, it's always nice to look at what we might already know, what we might already feel, how we actually see those things without too much external knowledge. Because I know that from experience. We actually do have a lot of internal knowledge about a lot of things already. But in the course, we will go into some of the theory as well. And work with, of course, all the 5 elements. And also work with different cycles. So elements can come in cycles. Like, for example, we have in the year, we start off in spring. Spring is actually associated with the wood element. Then we go into summer, and that's the fire. And there's a phase of late summer that is associated with the earth element. We go into autumn, which is the metal. And then we end in winter with the water. So we're going to look more at those kind of things and how we can use them as well. The processes, how we can use them in our own life, apply them to other things in our lives. So those are just some examples of what we will do in the course. Now, there's 2 more things I want to do with the drawing. One is to draw a fire line and a water line, and I'm actually going to go with my blue and my red pen. You don't have to do that. This is an option. And so I'm going to draw my fire line, one of the lines that goes from the bottom to the top through my fire. I'm going to use that as my fire line, and I'm going to just go over that line with my red marker. And you can just draw it with a black marker as well, or you can go over it with like a pencil, just bringing this line out more. My fire line. I like to go over stuff maybe 3 times. The Chinese actually have like interesting ideas about numbers too. Unfortunately, we won't get to those, but maybe some for the future. And then I will draw a water line, and that one goes from the top to the bottom. And here, interestingly, my water line goes through my fire circle of passion. So whenever something like that happens, I can also reflect on it, think about it, think what it has to do with each other. And so with these lines, I just really come back to experiencing these energies, the upward movement, the downward movement. And in a way, I like to give thanks to the elements. You can do that if it feels accessible or right for you. And now that I have these 2 lines throughout my drawing, I can ask myself, what is the most important message that I received? For me, it's this power circle, absolutely, because it made me think about how they actually have to be connected, know where they have to be connected. For you, maybe it is one of the circles that you created, or maybe it's the water circle, it's the fire circle. Just ask yourself, what is the most important aspect of the picture that comes out for you right now? That you want to emphasize. And we're going to emphasize it with an extra outline, and I'm going to do this one in red and blue. Haha. I'm going to go around my circle with a red line. And then I'm going to go inside of my circle with a blue line. You can also just emphasize it with a black line, so it doesn't have to be colored like I do it, but I kind of feel that that emphasizes for me even more this inside of how both elements are part of my power and how I need to focus on that. So I hope you found something that is important in your drawing. Oh, okay. Now I would like to very briefly, while everyone is still drawing and finishing their wonderful images, just introduce the course itself. I actually excited to make this course 5 weeks. Usually my courses are 4 weeks. But this one, because we're talking about 5 elements and I want to give each one its own space, we're going to go 5 weeks. So one of the contents of the 5 weeks will be each week we focus really on one element. There's a lot of different things that we will learn. We learn about all the different aspects of the element, how they are connected. And as I said, we learn about cycles, about how the elements work together. And those are actually concepts, ideas, theories, and wisdom that is also present in traditional Chinese medicine, for example, where we can look at cycles in our bodies, how things work together smoothly, how things work together not so smoothly. There are cycles that create, and there are cycles that control each other. So we can, by understanding them or by kind of learning about them, we can learn about what energies support each other, what energies we can bring into a drawing, for example, if it has too much fire. So in my drawing, there was a lot of fire and it was balanced because I had water. Water and fire really balance each other out. I could also balance my fire by bringing earth into it because earth follows fire, and so the fire transforms into earth. If I don't have enough fire, I could also bring wood into my drawing, and then the wood would support my fire. So we're looking at things like that, and experimenting with them in the drawings. We're also going to look at, like reflecting a lot about our lives with these 5 elements. There's a lot of information in it, I can tell you that. As I said in the beginning, I am actually going to offer an embodiment practice. And the reason I'm doing that is because for myself, as I said, I studied this before I ever knew about Neurographica, before I ever worked with the colors like that. I studied the 5 elements through movement, which is something that is very, dear to me. And so I want to invite everyone, and this is absolutely not a must. This is an addition that you can choose to book or not. It comes with the extra price too, but the price is $10 per class. So I think that might be affordable for people to explore the 5 elements on a much more, easier to grasp kind of level. Because whenever we can feel it in our bodies, then it will be much easier to learn about it, I feel. In the Qigong classes, I'm actually going to teach a series of movements that balance the 5 elements in our bodies. So you will learn about just the very general aspects of Qigong, and we will do certain movements every week that are also supporting one specific element, but then we will also every time practice this movement sequence that brings them all together. Because I feel that, of course, we can't just work with one. This is one of the things that's very interesting, is like we can look at just one element, but it will never be isolated. It will always be connected to everything else. So in the end, we always have to come back to everything else as well. This is what I wanted to say about that. And now I think I'm gonna open the space up for questions. And I'm gonna leave the recording running just in case there's some questions that might be interesting for other people as well. So you can either type something in the chat if you have specific questions about the courses, or you can open your microphone. Then I'm not sure if you might have to turn off your video to not be in my recording. So yeah, I hope that made sense. And I hope that you learned something for yourself in this drawing. As I said, like in the Neurographica classes, we will work with color in a different way than we worked with color before. We will actually have some pictures that start only with color. Like today we started with a shape and then we put the color in. There will be drawings where we start just with the color. There will be drawings where we actually draw our body as well and draw the 5 elements in there, which is a very interesting one as well. And we will draw different cycles, different ways of bringing all the 5 elements in one picture. So there's going to be more and just with these 2, but I thought like as an introduction, yeah. So the question, will the Qigong be offered as an online course as well? Yes. The Qigong is online as well. It will be before, so the Neurographica classes start at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, which I think is 7:30 in Europe, in Germany for sure. And the Qigong class will be 9 a.m. So an hour and a half before. I want to take a little break in between because it's my early morning time and I kind of need a break before to eat something real quick or something like this. So yeah, the Qigong class will be before the Neurographica class, which I find kind of good, I think, to move first, feel into it first, and then learn about theory more. Of course, in the Qigong classes, I'm also going to mention a whole lot of things. So yeah, there's going to be information too, but there's going to be more movement, and in the Neurographica class there will be information and drawing. And as some of my students know, I have very very sporty goals, I'm going to call it. We're going to try to make 2 drawings every time because I want to make at least a small drawing for each of the elements, just focusing on the one element. And then there's going to be one drawing where we create a drawing with, as I said, the different cycles, the a lot of different drawings that are still there. What time does tomorrow's class start? Do I have an upcoming class pertaining to roots? I'm probably going to do a roots class again with the ancestral arts, which I do in October. Tomorrow's class, tomorrow there's actually going to be 2 classes. Can you specify which class you mean? We have the art of grieving, which I think starts at 9 or 9:30. No. Caught me off guard here with these questions. Let me check. 9:30 is Art of Grieving, and at 12 is a Creative Moon Circle. Is the beginner class necessary before taking the specific course? Thank you for asking that, because I forgot to mention that. Yeah. This is the 5-element course. The NeuroColor course is an advanced Neurographica class. It was actually created by Pavel Piskarev. So I will teach his content and I will expand it. I will bring in a little bit more. This is why I made more time and space. But to take these advanced classes, it is necessary to have completed the basic user course. So the Neurographica Basics is mandatory for that. And I didn't make that rule, but yeah, it exists. And for me, I kind of agree with it, because you want to have a knowledge of Neurographica just in general. Also, you want to have the tools that are taught in Algorithm 1, because if you meet strong resistance somewhere, for example, you're gonna want to know how to release it, which we do with the first algorithm. The first algorithm course, the basics course, is available with recordings from me. And I'm going to hopefully teach it live again. If you buy the recordings, you will automatically have access to the live and to all the future recordings and everything. And it's a great course. So for everyone who is interested in the NeuroColor but doesn't have the basics course yet, I absolutely recommend taking the basics classes. Yes, I do offer the basics class. I do not offer the specialist. For the specialist, I need, I'm working on it, but it's a long journey there to get the license to teach it. So yeah. But if you're interested in the specialist, you can just write me and I can send you information. There are a few private teachers that teaches, and there's also, of course, the Institute, the Psychology of Creativity Institute, that also teach that. Nice, wonderful. Lavinia will come to the Moon Circle. I'm looking forward to seeing you, and I will send you the link. Make me a little note because I tend to forget about stuff like that. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you for asking questions too. I really appreciate that. I'm excited that people are actually interested. So I will now turn off this recording so that everybody that's here can share their pictures with me and we can talk a little bit. So we're going to do that for the last 15 minutes, I think. And thank you to everyone who's, oh, someone wants to talk. Yes, please.
One more question. For that October class pertaining to the roots, does the basic course need to be done first?
The ancestral arts is my personal creation, so I have the right to say who can join it, who can't. And I don't, of course I recommend to like watch some videos before, and it's always great to do the basic user course, but it's not mandatory.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for that question as well. I really like that. So yeah, now you know a whole lot about my classes and everything. And yeah, everyone who's watching the recording, I would love to see your pictures. You can share them in my Facebook group. I'm gonna how do I do? I'm going to put a link. And now I need to stop talking and say bye-bye. Thanks everyone.